Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grandstand Sports Data, your go to channel for sports, statistics, and unbiased handicapping. And in today's video, we're going to give you our 2023 top 10 NFL quarterback rankings based on our quarterback statistical model. We're going to rank the quarterbacks from number 10 all the way to number 1 based on their stats on an algorithm that we have developed based on quarterback success. So let's get right into it. Okay, so let's first start with the honorable mentions. And to qualify as a quarterback in this illustration, you had to have started at least 4 NFL games. So that would give us a top 44. So that made 44 quarterbacks qualify for this algorithm. We've done this a number of times. We might put some cards in the top right to show you how the algorithm works. But basically, what it does is it takes all these statistics, it weights them, and it gives you a win percentage based on those weights. As you can see, C.J. Stroud all the way down at the bottom, he's number 15th. He is in the honorable mentions. He did well in terms of interception percentage, adjusted net yards per attempt, and some of those decent stats. We just want to kind of breeze through these guys because they're honorable mentions. But Anthony Richardson comes in at number 14, so he only played in 14 games. He did pretty well. You could see there's a lot of blue here, so he wasn't exactly lighting it up. But I would say is that you're going to see a lot of this because quarterback play was down this season. It really was. It was down. Some of the mainstream, I say mainstream, some of the more elite quarterbacks didn't really show up this season. There wasn't elite quarterback play. There just wasn't this season. Coming in at number 13 is Joe Burrow. So Joe Burrow probably a little lower than what he would like, but because of injuries, that's what happened. He also was playing on an injury earlier in the year. Justin Herbert, he was 12th last year. He finished 12th this year. Probably right where he should be in terms of his success. Josh Allen, though, I believe Josh Allen was number 2 or number 3 last season. Comes in at number 11 here. Still has the problems with the interceptions being 36 out of, or tied in 36 out of the 44 eligible. He's still ranking in the top 10 in terms of touchdown percentages, top 10 in terms of QBR, well, top 3 in terms of QBR. He's not a bad quarterback. He does take a lot of risk. That will hurt him when it comes to winning games, but he does make some big chunk plays as well. So a little bit contradictory. So let's start off with the top 10. Coming in at number 10, believe it or not, it's Derek Carr. And Derek Carr was doing pretty well this season. He wasn't pressured much, as you can see all the way from the right. Pressure percentage was 4th in the NFL. He was 6th in terms of completion percentage and tied for 6th when it came to interception percentage. He was top 10 when it came to passer rating. He was 97.7 passer rating. And he didn't get sacked much, as he just cracked the top 10 there, being tied in 9th and being only sacked at 5.4% of all his dropbacks. He did play well. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He did play well, especially when you look at the ranks. So this is we dropped a progress report video in the middle of the season. I want to say about week 9, week 10. So we picked up on his ranks, leaving off from there. As you can see, his worst rank was 22nd on week 14, but then picked it up as these last 4 weeks played out, finishing in the top 10. So a good job there by Derek Carr. Coming in at number 9 is Patty Mahomes. And Patty, he was on target all season, being 80.7% on target percentage, being second in the NFL in that category. What was the problem here? It was what everyone's talking about, and it's being in 42nd out of 44 quarterbacks in terms of drop percentage. His wide receivers were dropping the ball on 7%, close to 7% of all dropbacks. That's tough. It's a tough thing to overcome. He's top 10 in terms of completion percentage. He's top 7 when it comes to QBR. His passer rating was down this season, being 14th in the NFL at 92.6. And he was top 4 in the NFL when it comes to sack percentage. So he didn't take many sacks, even though if you look all the way to the right to pressure percentage, he was being pressured. So he had to use those legs a lot this season to get out of some trouble. As you can see from the ranks down below, he kind of hovered in that top 10 area for most of the season. 7th was the most, I guess, frequent ranking, but finishing up at number 9 in this model. Coming in at number 8, and here's a little bit of a surprise, it's Jordan Love. Jordan Love was pretty good this season. He was top 6 in the NFL when it came to touchdown percentage, top 6 in the NFL when it comes to sack percentage, and he's top 10 in the NFL when it came to adjusted net yards per attempt. His passer rating and QBR hovered around the top 10 ranges for both of those stats. The only problem that you would see is the bad percentage, and that would be his bad throw percentage. he had bad throws at 17.2% of all his dropbacks. So those do not include spikes or throwaways. So just to factor that in. He was about middle of the road, as you can see from the ranks, and about middle of the year, being 19, 18, 17. As the season started getting grooving along, even last week he was a top 5 quarterback, and then dropped down recently to top 8. So he has been playing well. I gotta give him his flowers this season. Jordan Love did show up. Coming in at number 7, and a guy who dropped off a little bit because he was in the top 5 last season and last year's quarterback model. He's 7th this year, and it's Tua. Tua was top 5 when it came to completion percentage, top 5 when it came to passer rating, top 2 when it came to adjusted net yards per attempt. And he also didn't get pressured too much. Pressure percentage was top 3 in the NFL. He was being protected. The problem here, and the only blue stat that we see here, is interception percentage. He's 30th in the NFL. Can't have that. And he had it at bad times too as well. He's almost ranking in the top 10 in every statistical category here, which is crazy. And that he's only 7th from that, but it's the interceptions. When you're doing it at 30th in the NFL, it's tough to overcome. As you can see down from the ranks, he was ranking consistently in almost 4, 5, and 6 throughout the season and dropped off just on week 18 to number 7. So 2 at 7 is what we got. So coming in at number 6, it's Jared Goff. Jared Goff, he's had a pretty good season this year. Top 8 when it comes to completion percentage. Tied for 9th when it comes to touchdown percentage, being 5% of his dropbacks have been touchdowns. He's top 10 when it comes to quarterback rating again, which he's done this consistently time over time, especially with being with Detroit. His sack percentage is 5th in the NFL, so he's not hitting the ground too much, but he is getting pressured a little bit, being 26th in the NFL. Believe it or not, his wide receivers are not catching the ball like you would think. He's tied for 37th in the NFL. Comes to 6.1% when it comes to drop percentage. His wide receivers need to be a little better when holding on to the football. He's been top 10 when it comes to on target. So he's been there. And if you can see from his ranks, he's consistently ranked 6, 7, or 8 every single week. Jared Goff, again, is ranking in the top 10. Just like last year in the same model. He's ranking again in the top 10. A little bit of a surprise here, I think, I know there's some people that are critical of him, but the numbers show you that there is success here. He's able to produce wins. So coming in at number 5, it's Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford has been, as of late, if you look down at the ranks, you see 2021, that's basically where he was hovering for most of the season. As the season has gone on, as you can see from week 14 on, they have done nothing but win, and they've also had one loss, and that's against Baltimore in overtime, and where I think he threw for 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. He has been stellar in these last few weeks. He didn't play in week 18, and that's what some people are going to say is like, how in week 18 did he not play and then his numbers jumped up? Well, you got to remember, this is accumulation of the whole season. So from him sitting out, some players that were above him probably crapped their pants and played worse and dropped down. Maybe some guys sat out and they stayed the same as well, like Lamar and some of these other quarterbacks. But that's why you would see his number jump up. Some quarterbacks played worse than who was ahead of him. Now let's look at the numbers. Sack percentage. He was tied for 9th in the NFL. He's also tied for 9th when it came to adjusted net yards per attempt, while his pressure percentage was 12th. So he wasn't getting hit very much, and that's good for Matt Stafford. That's when he can produce more than the average quarterback. I would consider him a little bit above average, but he can step his game up to that next level when he gets protected. The only problem here is his drop percentage. 41st out of the 44 qualifying quarterbacks. Guys are dropping the football when it comes to him, and he's not also throwing the ball on target very well when it comes to the bad throw percentage. He's having some bad throws out there, which is leading to interceptions, which is 24th in the NFL for himself, being 2.1% interception ratio when it comes to dropbacks. So he does have success. He's been on fire as of late and kind of finished the season strong, which has led him to be the top 5 quarterback in the NFL just based on this model. Coming in at number 4 is Lamar Jackson. And Lamar Jackson, if you ask me, he's improved in throwing in the pocket this season. Now, when I look back at the numbers, though, as you can see from the bad throw percentage, he's tied for 30th in the NFL when it comes to these qualifying quarterbacks. That's not too great. Now, the drop percentage also is wide receivers are not catching the football for him like they should be. Everywhere else, though, he looks real good. Top 5 in terms of pressure percentage, so he's not getting hit as much. His adjusted net yards is top 4. His QBR and passer rating is top 4 in the NFL. His interception rate has been very low, 1.5%, and his touchdown rate has been high at 5.3%, while his completion percentage has remained over 65 at 67.2, which ties him for ninth in the NFL. He has really improved on his passing this season. Now, whether he's accurate or not in that pocket, that's something to be seen, and it probably will come to fruition come playoff time. But as you can see from the ranks, he was in those 13, 12 range and was slowly cracking that top 10, and is in these past 2 weeks has cracked the top 5, leaving him at number 4. Coming in at number 3, and here's a guy who was really impressing and a guy in a contract year. It's Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins has been hurt for most of the season, but as you can see, since the beginning of the year, he lit it up astronomically, and then guys have had trouble catching up. As you can see from the ranks, his lowest rank was top 5 in the NFL. He's bolstered himself all the way up to 3 and 2, even though he hasn't played. We just mentioned this in the previous slide, is that because of what he's done earlier in the season, some guys get higher, some guys go lower. It's based on the stats and when you play, and it's accumulation over the year. So as you can see, he's top 10 in almost every statistical category when you look at the numbers, except for in 2 categories. Drop percentage, so his wide receivers weren't catching the ball for him like they should, and then pressure percentage. So he was doing all this while being pressured. Also, look at where he was number 1. He was number 1 in the NFL at throwing the ball on target. He was the most accurate quarterback in the NFL when it comes to on-target percentage. He was also number 2, tied for second when it comes to completion percentage, almost completing 70% of his passes. He was on pace to kill it this season. His quarterback rating was 103.8, which left him 3rd in the NFL. And this is a guy playing in that contract year and was probably looking for that huge contract. Number 3 is Kirk Cousins. Coming in at number 2, it's Dak Prescott. Dak has been huge this year. As you can see from the ranks down below, he's never ranked worse than 3 in the NFL when it comes to this quarterback model. He's been killing it in terms of completion percentage, being tied for 2nd in the NFL. He was 3rd in the NFL in touchdown percentage. He was tied for 6th when it came to interception percentage. In both of the rating stats, so QBR and in passer rating, he was 2nd in the NFL. He has been great this year. The only place where he kind of faltered was in drop percentage, and that's not even his fault. That's his wide receivers. He needs a little bit more help in that department. But he's had one of the lowest bad throw percentages, being 2nd in the NFL. Dak has really showed up this year. He really has. He was showing it a bit last year. He's really showing it this season. Just can they put it together come playoff time? Coming in at number 1, and probably no surprise here, it's Brock Purdy. And he's ranking number 1 in some of these statistical categories, in the important ones as well. 1 being touchdown percentage. 7% of his dropbacks lead to a touchdown. That's crazy. He's also 1st in the NFL when it comes to quarterback rating. He's 113 quarterback rating. He has a 72.8 QBR, which leads him number 1 in the NFL. His adjusted net yards per attempt is 1st in the NFL at 9.01. His numbers are astronomical. So the only problem here is that he does like to take a little bit of risk. You can see from the 2.5 interception ratio, leaving him 30th in the NFL. And also his bad throw percentage is 29th in the NFL. So it's something to look at. When he gets pressured, can people force him to have bad throws? His worst rank in the past few weeks, so since week 10 on, was 3rd in the NFL. After that, he was either number 1 or number 2, switching here and there. He does finish number 1, however. So like always, would like to thank you guys for watching. If you like this content, please subscribe. We always love handicapping our quarterbacks. Also, if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, that's a little thank you to us because it will show our content throughout the YouTube algorithm and get more eyeballs on our content. Also, if you wouldn't mind sharing and commenting down below, that would be greatly appreciated. I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.